So good day everyone. In this video we would be creating a project with all the knowledge that we have gathered so far. So let's go ahead and create a new file. Let's save that file as post.js. So once we have that, what we can do is, in programming there's something they call comments. So since we've been writing codes that run and we see it in our terminal that is interpreted and displayed here on the terminal. You can also write codes that would not be displayed in the terminal, that will be ignored by the compiler or the interpreter. And you do that, those codes are called comments. To write comments in JavaScript, you use the / /, and you can just write, this is a comment, it is ignored by the compiler interpreter. So if you go ahead and save this and you run your node post.js, you can see that it totally ignores it and it does not do anything. If you write a code that is not supposed to be there, you just have to use the / and it ignores that. So now this is for single line. You might want to do the same thing for your block of code. For example, first we want to be console.log hello to the screen. Maybe you don't need that hello again, or for now, and you might still need it later. What you just basically have to do is put a comment sign in front of it, and then it ignores it and moves to the next. So now you can also do comments for blocks of code. For example, you have a function greet, and what your function greet does is it prints out hello to the screen. You can do this, you could do this, you could do this, and you could do this, but it's too much, especially if you are dealing with long block of code. So what you can just do in this case is you do a multi-line comment, and multi-line comment in JavaScript is done by, you use a / in front of it, you use an asterisk following that, then at the end of it you use an asterisk first, then you use the / then you have your block of code commented. So anything written, let me delete this, let me first run it so you see how it works. Now anything you write inside this block of code, this / * would be ignored by the compiler because it is a comment. So let's go ahead and delete this and start our post.js. So what we use comments to do is we use comments to lay out our code, and to comments are very good. You definitely want to be using comments because as your code gets longer, you would want to know what which is doing, and it helps other people that are reading your code, because you'll be working with people a lot and they need to understand why you did some things that you did when they are reading your code. So to break down our work, let's comment first. I said we are doing something like a blog post. We are going to be manipulating a blog post. So first of all, we are going to be creating 4 functions. The first function is function to create a post. Now we are going to create another function to get a post. Then we are going to create another function to delete a post. Then we are going to create another function to toggle a post status. Okay, so now we have our layout, so we know what we want to write. So first thing we want to do is, let's first create our variable post, and we set that equal to an object. So an object is what we are going to use to pass all the properties of our post. Now let's write another comment here under the create post. So the create post function will receive I think three arguments, which will be name, content, and then author. So let's just take this to the top of our page, and let's just modify it a little bit and just say post would receive 3 characteristics rather, or 3 properties. So these are our first comment to know what we are doing. So we have created our post. Now the function to now create a post is, let's create that function. Let's do create post, and we have mentioned that it will receive 3 arguments: name, content, and author. So now what we want to do is, when we receive these 3 things, we want to do something like, we want to send those, make these things that we received in the create post a property of the post function. So we do post dot name is equal to the name we received in the argument. So we can also do same for post dot content then we set that equal to content we received. Then we can also do post dot author, and we set that equal to the author we received. Now one last thing we will do is, let's just add a status to it. So we can just say post dot status. Now the thing is, we are not receiving status from the create post. We want to have a default status which is false. So the status is false currently, which means, let's say for example, it's not published. So after we have done this, we can just go ahead and say console.log new post added successfully. So now we are done with our create post function. Let's go ahead to create a function to get the post. So if we run function get post, what we have happen is get post will receive an argument which is the post we want to get, or let's just say get post will just receive, and it won't receive any argument. What we just use that to do is console.log okay, console.log post. Let's just leave that as that for now. We'll still modify that. Then let's go ahead to create something to delete our post. What we can do is just create function delete post, and like I said, you can delete posts, you can delete what you have given to a variable by just saying you just reinitialize it to undefined. So post is equal to undefined. So now we can just go ahead and say console.log post deleted. Now one more thing we want to do is to create a function to toggle a post status. So now we just say function change status. So now our function change status, what we just want to do with this is first of all, let's check. Let's first use an if statement to check the status. So if let's just let's create a new variable via current status. We would need that to do something I want us to do. Our current status is equal to post dot status. So we have set current status. Now what we just want to do is if post no, so what we just have to do here is we can say post dot status is equal to not post dot status. Then now we have negated the value, we have toggled it. Why we created this variable is because I want us to tell the current status. So we can just say let's console.log status post status as post status is now, let's set that to the negation of current status as well. So let's just say not current status. So understanding this, what we have done here is we created a new variable current status. We set it equal to the post status currently. Then we negated post status. we said post.status is equal to the opposite of post.status. Then now we are we print out that post status is now current status. I think that brings us to the end of our project. Let's now begin to test our project. So we have created these functions. What we can now do is start to call those functions. So create post, and we said it receives how many arguments? 3 arguments, which is name, content, and author. So name, let's say Kazim David. Then author, name, let's our name, let's use that as my first blog, my first blog post. Then the last one is the content. Let's just say content of my first blog post. So if we go ahead and run this, we should have a new post added successfully. So now let's run the get post also. I'm coming, view, toggle ultra. So let's get post also. As we are creating the post, let's call the get post function, which does not receive any argument at all. So now it gets the post, and you can see that the name is my first blog post, the content is Kazim David. Okay, we have mistaken that, so I think we have to take this one and put that here. So if we go ahead and run this again, we can see that so the content is content of my first blog post, the author is Kazim David, the status is false. Now what we want to do is we want to change the status of currently is false. We want to change that status to true. So let's go ahead and call the change status afterwards, and let's run that. So by default is false as we defined it. Now we can see that post status is now true. After this, let's go ahead and confirm. Let's just console.log, then post.status, post.status. So you can see that post.status is now true because we have called the function to change the status. Now if we call the change status function multiple times, you can see that it will be false, because so post status became true, then at this point then we called it again, then post status changed to false. So let's go ahead and delete this and delete this. If we save this, let's check our delete function, and we can say delete post, then so it tells us that post deleted. If after post deleted we now try to check post again, it's supposed to give us undefined. so post deleted, and we trying to get post now become undefined. So we have created our first project, where we used, I think, virtually all all some of the things we have learned. Actually, we've used that in a code, and I think this is the longest we've written. These are about 37 lines of code. It gets longer, but I think with this you have the basis of how to draft projects and how to create projects, rather than just using individual elements of programming. So for this week we'll be given a task. It will be a project, and it will be different from this but in a way similar, and let's see how you guys will be able to manage that. So thank you.